know me, you know that I am personally a Batman the Animated Series stan. So this video in no way, shape, or form is bashing the iconic series. But we are going to have a come to Jesus moment when it comes to how you introduce your kids to Batman, and BTAS just isn't it. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. Batman's history in animation is quite legendary when it comes to comic book characters, with different iterations of the Caped Crusader since the late 1960s. And if you ask anyone what is the best Batman animated TV show, 99.8% of people will probably tell you it is the 1990s Batman the Animated Series, which is very true in my humble opinion. However, if you were to ask me what Batman animated TV show should you introduce your little kids to, I would have to say it is not BTAS. And the correct and accurate answer is the 2008 Cartoon Network highly underrated series, Batman the Brave and the Bold. And I just wanted to sit here today with you to tell you why. Because for some reason I think this talk is just going to be a wee bit difficult for us fans who grew up with the nostalgic 90s iconic series. And so we're going to get through this together. But before we learn a little bit more about these two extraordinary animated programs, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become part of this wonderful Gothamite community. So let's just start off with everyone's favorite Dark Knight. I don't care what you say, he probably is. And that is from Batman the Animated Series. First airing on Fox on September 5th, 1982, the series, which began the classic DC animated universe, was originally developed by Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, Bruce Timm, and Eric Radomski. Batman fans that are my age, yes, I feel old, grew up with this 90s series, which all went under names from Batman the Animated Series, to The Adventures of Batman and Robin, to the New Batman Adventures from 1992 all the way to 1999. So this series literally defined Batman on TV for the 90s era. It's major. The show's visual style of the 1940s dark deco and film noir was influenced from the Tim Burton's recent Batman films at the time, Batman from 1989 and Batman Returns from 1992. And you can see this influence in every panel and still from the show. From the Gotham City landscape, the Batmobile itself, to even listening to the score and even the intro by Danny Elfman and Shirley Walker, which is of course mirroring the Batman theme by Danny Elfman from 1989. Really, there was no way that this 90s series wasn't going to be on the darker side of exploring the Batman universe. BTAS also reintroduced classic Batman mythos characters such as Mr. Freeze, Clayface, and Two-Face, and gave them more sympathetic and three-dimensional backgrounds, and even gave us new, now beloved characters such as Miss Harley Quinn. Between this and the very complex yet entertaining storylines and plots that were practically in every episode of BTAS, Batman the Animated Series truly is one of the more perfect cartoon series, period, of all time. And I'm not just saying that because, like I said, I'm a stan. That is almost universally agreed upon. It is just an outstanding program. But just because this is true, does this mean that this film noir rich series is the perfect introduction for your young child into the world of the Caped Crusader? I would personally say no. The show you truly should show to your little kids. And when I say little, I'm literally saying the ages between 2 and 8 years old. And that is, of course, Brave and the Bold. Produced by James Tucker and Michael Jelenic, beginning in 2008 and lasting until 2012, the Cartoon Network series Batman the Brave and the Bold highlighted stories and Batman team-ups from the Silver Age DC Comics publication, The Brave and the Bold, which was initially released between 1955 and 1983. In influenced by tales under creators such as Bill Finger, Gardner Fox, Bob Haney, Dick Giordano, Jim Aparo, and Neil Adams, the tone of this Batman series is much lighter and campier than other Dark Knight-centric shows, particularly the noir fan favorite Batman the Animated Series. And it's not just that, but Brave and the Bold was tragically overshadowed due to the cinematic universe that was happening at the exact same time that this show aired. Christopher Nolan's rebooted Batman cinematic universe, now dubbed the Dark Knight Trilogy, was happening, including 2008's The Dark Knight, which is considered one of the greatest Batman films of all time, but that is also when Brave and the Bold started in 2008, this light, campy, completely opposite depiction of the Caped Crusader was on TV. The popularity of the Nolanverse totally just washed out this Silver Age celebration of the Brave and the Bold. For many, the introduction to Batman for them was Christian Bale's Batman, was the Nolanverse. So why would they really think that that Batman and the Brave and the Bold Batman should really be in the same tier? That the Brave and the Bold Batman is the correct interpretation of one that they already have fallen in love with and are introduced to. It's almost confusing to a new fan of The Dark Knight. Movies such as 1989's Batman and of course Batman the Animated Series, if that is the Batman that you were introduced to, I'm sure now as an adult, for you, you're like, oh, if I was first introduced to Batman the Animated Series, of course I want to introduce my child to Batman the Animated Series because that is what I grew up with. And I completely understand that reasoning. I honestly do. So if you're an adult now and you have a child and you want to turn on HBO Max or pop in that Blu-ray and just start your 3-year-old off with On Leather Wings and just scare the living hell out of them, that is on you because that is your child and I am not here to tell you how to raise your children. We didn't know any better, okay? This is what we were introduced to. We were introduced to this dark as hell Batman across all visual media at the time if you were a late 80s or 90s baby, which is me. And just because that was our only exposure to Batman and we believe that that should be the same for our kids today, it simply shouldn't be for the kids of today. It really shouldn't. So let's briefly compare and contrast these two shows in terms of theme and visuals and even storylines to show their vast differences and why one should really be more appealing to kids than the other. However, they both are just extremely still valid. I just want to keep clarifying that because I don't want you to think that I'm saying that Batman the Animated Series is not a valid interpretation of The Dark Knight. I am just saying we're talking about the kids, right? We're talking about the children, and that is the focus of this video. So let's just start with the color palette itself, which is both drastically different. Each series celebrated different eras, which translated to how their storylines were fleshed out, from BTAS's 40s yet timeless noir to Brave and the Bold's Silver Age pop art era. Over the last several decades, children's studies have shown that bright colors catch young children's eyes due to the fact that it helps children distinguish objects from one another in their field of vision. And on a personal note, I know this to be true because I was a preschool teacher for years and worked with children from ages 2 to 3 years old. And so I know for a fact these studies have been done are extremely accurate. So just from these observational studies, children spend more time looking at bright colors, which is basically Batman the Brave and the Bold in motion. This is of course as opposed to looking at muted shades or pastels, which Batman the Animated Series is the perfect example because it is popularly known that the illustrators of the 90s series drew on dark paper with black being the base color and adding lighter shades to shape the figures and landscaping. In short, for a younger audience, like I said, ages 8 and under, Brave and the Bold is probably more visually appealing and can hold their attention much longer than the darker aesthetic characterization from BTAS. And now if you go to different themes and storylines that are in both of these series, you will find Batman the Animated Series can get real dark and twisted in their plot, as opposed to the more lighter adventures of the Caped Crusader in the Cartoon Network Brave and the Bold series. Observing just a few episodes from both shows, in one Brave and the Bold episode, Aquaman's outrageous adventure, not only featuring arguably the best character in the series besides Batman himself, but is a very lighthearted adventure of Arthur taking his family on vacation but dying to fight crime. And in comparison, there is a Batman the Animated Series episode called Double Talk that focuses on the troubled psychosis of the villain ventriloquist and how through different criminals his mental illness is taken advantage of. See how those two themes and storylines are just drastically different? Which one would you show your child? Going back to the lighter side, as Batman, Black Canary, and Neil Patrick Harris's Music Meister sing fun and catchy songs in the Brave and the Bold episode Mayhem of the Music Meister, Jervis texts the Mad Hatter's stalking nature combined with his obsession with Alice in Wonderland not only leads him to justifying kidnapping his co-worker named Alice, but also transforming her to the classic Lewis Carroll character through his mind control devices in the episode Mad as a Hatter. Now, a very bright and colorful musical or showing a kidnapping based off of a fairy tale and mind control devices that Batman has to save this young innocent girl from this deranged Mad Hatter. Which one are you showing your kids? Another Brave and the Bold example that is one of my personal favorites is that the Golden Age character of Batman of Zurnal, which was voiced by Kevin Conroy, by the way, meets the Dark Knight and they battle together to save the alien Caped Crusader's planet in the episode The Super Batman of Planet X. But if we go to the Batman the Animated Series side, one of the more disturbing episodes that on the surface seems kid-friendly, but is really, really not, is the episode Baby Doll. We follow Mary Doll, a former child star who has a condition that results in her physically remaining a child, but mentally a grown adult. In order to get revenge on her old cast, she kidnaps them, and Batman must save them. Batman the Animated Series is still a kids show. It was on WB, it was on Fox, like it is literally a kids show. I even discussed this specifically with Kevin Conroy in my 2016 Comic-Con panel, and he said yes, it is dark, super dark, but it was still considered a kids program. So I understand why Batman the Animated Series was created the way that it was and was still considered a children's program. I do. In fact, it is those deep dives that I discussed in the several episodes that I mentioned that makes Batman the Animated Series still a stellar and practically perfect series, even 29 years later since its debut. But focusing on this particular discussion of how The Brave and the Bold is so fantastic for a younger audience that you want to introduce the Batman world to, it's not just the pop aesthetic that would be a brilliant draw for kids, but it's also the fact that these kids will learn so much more about the Batman character and his mythology through discovering these Silver Age classic characters and storylines through this Cartoon Network series. And one that is particularly my favorite and is considered probably the best Brave and the Bold episode to date is of course the 2010 episode Chill of the Night, which was written by Paul Dini. I think this is a good episode to shine a light on how you can depict a dark theme or a dark storyline that ties to Batman and still have it appropriate for kids. Because Chill of the Night not only is the first time in this particular series that you get to see Batman's origin story, including the deaths of Thomas and Martha Wayne, but you also have the storyline of Batman learning who killed his parents, Joe Chill, and trying to decide whether or not he should seek vengeance and take out Joe Chill for good. And it's not just the stellar voice cast that is attached to that episode, but how they handle the visuals to a young audience that can digest it and not just be totally afraid of what they're seeing on their TV screen. I think all in all, looking at the way that you can depict such a dark storyline to a young audience and still not scar them both visually and even within the storytelling itself, that can give a beautiful representation of both golden and silver age stories for kids 8 and under that they can truly understand, digest, and entertain, and it'll even broaden their own horizon of the Batman universe itself. It just is the fitting choice to have your kids' first time really seeing a Batman-centric TV show being Batman the Brave and the Bold. Now sure, after this whole video, I have talked about Brave and the Bold's bright visuals and digestible content that isn't scarring to kids, that also broadens the horizons of their Batman universe and will make their new, very, very new and fresh fandom even greater. Maybe that's not good enough for you. And if you're thinking, you know what, I grew up with Batman the Animated Series as a kid and I turned out fine, and there is no reason why I can't show my kids that are like 3 and 4 years Batman the Animated Series. And also, I really don't believe that this super light and campy Brave and the Bold is a true, authentic version of Batman that I want my kids to realize that that is the Batman. Maybe that's you. And you know what? That's fine. However, from the words of Batmite, from the Batman the episode 2011, Legends of the Dark Might, Batman's rich history allows him to be interpreted in a multitude of ways. To be sure, this is a lighter interpretation, but it's certainly no less valid and true to the character's roots than the tortured Avenger crying out for mommy and daddy. That is one of my favorite lines in the entire series. One of my favorite lines in all of Batman animated television, to be perfectly honest with you. So don't let these bright colors and campy tones stop not only you from enjoying this particular interpretation of the Caped Crusader, but I truly think that this should be the first big Batman TV show that you share with your young crime fighters in your life. Like I said, ages probably 2 to 8. And I would say, if you want to introduce your kids to Batman the Animated Series, why don't you try age 11? Maybe 10 at the youngest, because I think that is a good age to be able to show a darker side of the Dark Knight. I promise your kids can enjoy both series. I just think for a particular age group, in particular the real young ones, Brave and the Bold is such an excellent and perfect program to introduce your little tykes to the Caped Crusader. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new Batman video discussing both Batman the Animated Series and Batman the Brave and the Bold. 2 excellent programs. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out the rest of my videos on this channel, and of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can become part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this video and what you would want to show your kids. If you have some already, or if you're going to have some in the future, what Batman TV show or movie you would want them to be introduced to have their fandom of the Caped Crusader grow, and to be just as intense as probably yours. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will have more History of Batman soon, right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman.